The Finance Act 2020 was signed into law on December 31st, 2020 and has already come into effect on 1st January 2021. The new law introduces over 80 changes to 15 different laws that will affect all stakeholders, which includes exemption of low-income earners earning 30,000 naira per month or less from personal income tax, unclaimed dividends in a leased company and dormant account balances unutilized for 6 years or more to be transferred to unclaimed funds. Amounts can subsequently be claimed by the owner at any time together with the yield thereon. Scope of items liable to excise duty have become expanded to include telecommunication services provided in Nigeria as may be prescribed in the law or an order issued by the President. There's also a reduction of import duty on tractors from 35% to 5%, mass transit for vehicles for transport of more than 10 persons and 10 trucks from 35% to 10%, and reduction of import levy on cars from 30% to 5%. Land and building are not taxable goods for VAT purposes. This means no VAT on transfer of land or purchase of building. Considering oncoming discourse on VAT, these developments have become topical, and our guest, a finance development specialist, Mr. John Ochai, will be discussing with us the implications of the amendments giving rise to Finance Act of 2020. Before we proceed with the discussion, let's look at the business stories making headlines. Trading activities of the flow of the Nigerian Stock Exchange closed with a loss of 80 billion naira at the end of the first trading week of 2021. The NSEO share index and market capitalization depreciated by 0.37% to close the week at 40,120.22 and 20.98 trillion naira respectively. A total turnover of 3.39 billion shares worth 19.87 billion naira in 26,808 deals were traded last week by investors on the floor of the exchange, in contrast to a total of 1.81 billion shares valued at 25.97 billion naira that exchanged hands the previous week in 14,634 deals. Trading in the top three equities, namely Champion Breweries PLC, Transnational Corporation of Nigerian PLC, and Access Bank PLC, measured by volume, accounted for 2.14 billion shares worth 6 billion naira, in 1,971 deals, contributing 63.18% and 30.21% to the total equity turnover, volume, and value, respectively. Currency in circulation rose by 249 billion naira from 2.66 trillion naira as of the end of November to 2.91 trillion naira in December 2020. The data was obtained from the Central Bank of Nigeria on Sunday. The CIC rose from a figure of 2.49 trillion naira as of end of October. The CBN said in a statement, as a result of its monetary policy actions, the reserve money grew moderately as of end of September 2020. In its third quarter economic report, it stated that on quarterly basis, reserve money grew by 2.5% to 13.57 trillion naira as of end September 2020, compared with a growth of 30.4% as of end June 2020. The corresponding factors were net foreign assets, which grew by 6.7% as a result of the significant decline in the liability of non-resident net claims on the Central Bank of Nigeria, public financial corporation, and the private sector, which grew by 16.0%, 30.8%, and 15.8% respectively. Over 205 million telephone subscribers on voice calls were active in the third quarter of 2020, the National Bureau of Statistics has said. It disclosed this in its just released telecom data for the second and third quarter of 2020, which focused on active voice and internet per state, porting and tariff information. In the report, the Bureau said telecom data for second quarter and third quarter 2020 reflected that a total of 196,242,456 and 205,252,058 subscribers were active on voice, as against 108,282,796 in the first quarter 2020. It stated that Lagos State had the largest number of subscribers in terms of active voice per state in third quarter 2020 and was closely followed by Kano and Ogun State, respectively. Since November 13, 2020, when the pump prices of petrol were last increased in the country, the price of the international oil benchmark Brent crude has been on upward trajectory, rising from $41.51 per barrel to close at $51.22 per barrel on December 31st. Fuel marketers had in December expected on another upward adjustment of PMS prices to reflect a further rise in crude oil prices. However, a 5 naira reduction in petrol price effective December 15 was announced by the federal government, a development that left them reeling in shock and questioning the deregulation of petrol price. Meanwhile, crude oil price accounts for a large chunk of the final cost of petrol, and the country has continued to spend so much on petrol imports for many years amid low domestic refining capacity. And that's the business update on Television Nigerian. I am Chirandu Osisiago. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back shortly.
My name is Chiwendu Osisiago, presenter Television Nigerian Business Daily. In a globalizing world, ours is to keep you engaged, informed and educated on contemporary happenings in the business world. We therefore command a special audience of business-minded viewers who are eager to know more about business, I mean your business. Why don't you take advantage of our special affordable offer to let the world know about your concepts, your goods, and of course, your services. You can call us on 080-3071-6959 or 070-3234-9054. You can also visit us at Television Nigerian in Guzapi, Abuja, and follow us on all our social media handles on Facebook, YouTube, and of course, on Twitter at Television Nigerian. Your business is our concern.
Thanks for staying with us again, and if you're just joining us, it's TV and Business Daily. Like I said earlier, we shall be discussing on the Finance Act, tax deductions, and minimum wage. I have my guest with me in the studio to espouse more. He's a financial analyst and an economist, Mr. John Ochai. You're welcome to TV and Business Daily.
Thank you for this opportunity, and thanks to Television Nigeria.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, now my first question, to be brief, what's the significance of this Finance Act 2020?
Thank you very much once more. I want to use this opportunity to thank Television Nigeria, and I want to also use this opportunity to thank Nigeria at large. And based on the question you have asked, the significance was supposed to be a milestone in monitoring the Nigeria economy. It's supposed to be a milestone that was supposed to boost a proper monitoring the active fiscal policy of the economy that will bring a sustainable development in Nigeria. And the act was meted to override the existing act that will boost development of the economy of this country. That is what the Act of 2020 is all about.
Is it a thing for the Nigerian workers to celebrate about?
Well, yes. It's just the policy of Nigeria and the approach to some certain issues are very much difficult to interpret. Ordinarily, it should be a thing that Nigeria workers are supposed to be celebrating, because the act, the Finance Act, make it possible for the workers below some certain type of wages to be exempted from tax payment. And for that reason, when you are working and then you are not paying a tax to the government. Ordinarily, it's supposed to be a thing of glory, a call for happiness, a call for exhibiting happiness. I'm not trying to exaggerate it. But in other words, with the dwindling economy and the downturn of the economy, there are a lot of things that government need to do to stimulate the economy that will make the worker to be happy. Not just the minimum wage. But the reason why I said in one hand is a things of joy, in another hand it's not a things of joy. It's just that you are using a right hand to give a worker some things and using the left hand to rob them. In other words, if you look at the economic, I can say for sure, without fear of favor, and I have no apologies to anybody, we pay double tax as a worker in this country. For instance, our minimum wage is 30%, 30,000 minimum wage as ascribed, but have not been fully implemented. Because if you look at the 36 states of the federations, that they are crying with their main coming of the COVID-19, that they cannot afford to pay 30,000 naira minimum wage. So they still stick to the 18,000 naira minimum wage. And then when you go to the market, we are buying Nigerian local rice for ranging from 24 to 28,000 naira. And then the 30,000 naira, which you are not, the government is not even paying. So I will not even capitalize on the 30,000 naira minimum wage. So I will capitalize on the 18,000 naira because that is what is visible now. And we are going to talk about what is visible, not what is in illusion. And if you are going by the what is invisible now, which the government can afford to pay, which is the 18,000 naira, can the 18,000 naira meet the needs or the demand of the goods that is being sold for 2020? Because the reason why I use rice as an illustration is because these are the goods are highly demanded in the market. And then if you look at the fuel pump price, it's 62, 63, some places 65, but the government official price is 65, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So now the transportation is very high. For commuters to transport themselves to the office environment, from the office environment back to their home, you understand? So they pay more. So when you do your minus plus, the worker is still running at the loss.
Okay.
So in other words, I felt that yes, in one way they are trying to say they are helping the worker to reduce their painstake. But the agony, the anguish which the society is also bring by pushing the society to the plunge of double taxation will make the worker not to enjoy that which they were exempted from. Because if you go to market, you pay value added tax. Look at just of recent, the government increased kilowatt, the 2 naira kilowatt pay of electricity to 4 naira, which is 100%. And the government is saying, no, it's not an increment, it's an adjustment, which is a plunge of disease. So when you look at those things, that is where those money is being paid, isn't it? A worker paid for electricity, pays for transportation, pays for goods and other services related that is in their need. You understand? So as it is now, those things that I have mentioned, they are very vital in the economy, which you cannot even alternate. Before you now say you compare the variable, which is the variations in the economy, for you to say, let there be alternative forgone. By the time you make your scale of preference, automatically you need light in your house. You need to transport yourself to office. You need to eat food. That is why I practically capitalize on these three things, these three items that I have mentioned. So for that reason, despite the exemption, that wages is not even enough to take care of the worker. So with that, I don't think It's not a thing of glory for the worker. The
Okay.
worker will still complain.
All right, Mr. John, let's talk about the import levy on a mass transit vehicle. You know, it has been reduced from 10% to 35%. You understand? So what exactly is the impact on these vehicles now?
Thank you very much. Sometimes when I laugh, when I discuss in the studio, it's just that we continue to use an archaic practice to put a measure when we need to, engage the economic player or the stakeholder. We need to bring them together to see what is the real bottleneck of our economy. How do we be able to solve the problem? We'll just drop it aside. We'll just run to a quick measure, which is just a short time frame template to cushion every effect of what we felt that is leveraging our economy. And that is why we continue to have this kind of problem. Yes, it's good. It's a call. It's a clarion call for a good development. When you reduce the tax import duty from 35% to 10%, it's a clarion call because it's good, and then we are also happy. But the problem we have is not about the reductions of the import tariff of 35% to 10%. But the question is, how many people have access to those truck, lorry, and tractors? How many people can afford to import them? How many people can be able to import for us to leverage on them? As I speak to you right now, Nigeria doesn't have transport system. And transport system is a very vital sector of the economy because there is no way goods and services will be transporting to the end user, which is the consumer. As I speak to you now, when fuel is on the increase, when you reduce the import tariffs from 35%, that is what goes to the government. Is there anything to checkmate on those transport service provider to make sure they reduce their price hike? Just for instance, now, recently, during the U-tide, we have a transportation range from even Abuja to Benue State is ranging 5,000. And even it's not like before that we used to travel to all the, like those in Idoma Aziz are traveling through Makodi before they go to Otukpo. But as it is right now, there is a short route where a journey of 3 hours, they are charging someone for 5,000. When you talk about them, they say, okay, the demand is high. And then the cost of maintaining, the cost of maintenance is very high. And if the cost of maintenance is very high, because I know I have a mobility, I have a car, you understand, a little jalopy that I'm managing. But when you go to the market, as it is now, what you used to buy before, it times 4, not times 2, times 4. What you can buy for 10,000 naira has metamorphosed to what? To 40,000 naira. So definitely you cannot also blame them. So ordinarily, the reductions of the tariff from 35% to 10% was supposed to cushion and reduce one way or the other. But the application is also bad because over time, governments use what they call coercism. You coerce people using an approach of authoritarians, directing people that, okay, because I have reduced tariff on this, you should do this, without bringing the stakeholder on board to how able to manage to have an effect on average populations we are having within the country. We have different stakeholders who have transport a company in the country. If they have an association, How many times the government have engaged them to see or to know the kind of problem they are having? By the time government is open for an engagement, and we keep discussing the effect, the implication, the impact, then automatically we were able to have a headway. And then by the time the government manipulates the economy by reduction or markup or markdown, then it will now begin to have effect. But the situation whereby in one side the tariff is high, and on the other side you are telling the society, you are telling your citizens, you are telling your population that you have reduced it on this side, and at the end of the day it's not having an effect on the economy, automatically the applications which you have put in place, then it does not make any sense. But I believe for the reductions of the tractor from 35 to 10 and the lorry from 30 to 10% and cars from 30 to 5% is a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call for the society, and government should try and make sure it's duly implemented, because one good thing is that government can just come out and say something, but the agency is applying a different thing entirely. And we believe that with that act and with all the clauses there, if it's duly followed, I believe it will be a thing of glory for the nation that will spur the sustainable development.
Okay, yeah, we believe that it will be duly followed, as you've said. Okay, now let's take a quick break. Then after the break, we'll discuss more on other sectors that had this tax deduction. Stay with us.
Thank you.
My name is Chiwendu Osisiago, presenter at Television Nigerian Business Daily. In a globalizing world, ours is to keep you engaged, informed, and educated on contemporary happenings in the business world. We therefore command a special audience of business-minded viewers who are eager to know more about business, I mean your business. Why don't you take advantage of our special affordable offer to let the world know about your concepts, your goods, and of course, your services. You can call us on 080-3071-6959 or 070-3234-9054. You can also visit us at Television Nigerian in Guzapi, Abuja, and follow us on all the social media handles on Facebook, YouTube, and of course, on Twitter at Television Nigerian. Your business is our concern.
Thanks for staying with us again, and if you just joining us, it's TV and Business Daily, and we've been discussing on the Finance Act, tax deduction, and minimum wage. My guest has been discussing with us on that. He is a finance analyst and, of course, an economist, Mr. John Ochai. Okay, now we said we're going to discuss on other sectors. Let's talk about the telecommunications sector that had this tax deduction. What can you say about it?
Yeah, we appreciate. And then we thank the National Assembly also as well for what they are doing. And also we have over time listened to NCC Boss on what it has been doing to reduce those hike in the telecommunications sector. But one good thing that I have not really understand is that in Nigeria we pay for what we don't even use, isn't it? Because there are so many packages in the telecommunications over time that we have been paying for that we don't use. And over time, we don't even roll back what we have not even consumed. But that is, by the way, because what I just said now, I just chip into the question you have asked, because you are trying to talk about how would this enactment of the law have an impact in the telecommunication industry that we're able to reduce the cost of communications. You see, it's the reason why you see that I don't want to go deep, that I'm talking about the periphery aspects of, because already when I'm here to discuss of issue, there is no way I won't be able to touch on the aspects of the failures of the government. I do say that sometimes. But the reason why it's like that is because when you look at the telecommunication industry, even if you give them a tax waiver, grant them that waiver, Now, most of the telecommunication industries are not using electricity. They develop their own personal electricity to electrifying the running of the telecommunication industry. That is to say, every telecom company you go to, their max installation is, there are two big generators that is servicing that max, run by diesel. And these diesels are acquired, isn't it?
Yeah.
You understand? So you won't detect the pace, even if you reduce the tax, because by the time they calculate their running costs, you understand, they calculate their running costs and other stuff like that, you realize that they will still, the tariff will still remain at its right, because they will still definitely pay other form of tax to the government. That is the main reason why you see that it will not have much impact on the society.
All right, thank you very much. What's your final thoughts?
Just as I said, the tax deductions and the financial act that was enacted for 2020, which is last year, we are supposed to, just as I said earlier, was supposed to be a milestone that will, sustain the development, because there will be effective monitoring and sustain the economy. Because if there is a effective monitoring in the fiscal applications, automatically what happens? We're able to monitor every aspect to the extent that the budget is fully funded, to the extent that whatever that is meted in it will be followed to the latter. And everybody will be put into check and balance, and they will be proactive in the system for us to have a proper stimulating economy.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. John Ochai. You said that the tax deduction is supposed to be a 3 milestone that will sustain the economy, and in order to monitor aspect of the sector so that the government can know how everything is going on. Thank you very much for coming on TV and Business this morning.
Thank you very much, my best.
It was good to have you.
Thank you.
And that's too much we have for you today on TV and Business Daily. I am Chawando Osisiago. And don't forget that you can follow us on all our social media platforms, in Facebook, on YouTube, and of course on Twitter, at Television Nigerian. Do have a wonderful day. Bye for now.